I'm Dr. Tara, and this is Hopeful Hints, a podcast where you'll receive quick, hopeful hints on all things women's health and infertility. Here, you will find education, inspiration, and most importantly, find peace and empowerment as you walk through the next steps in your healthcare journey. Hopeful Hands. I'm your host, Dr. Tara, and today we are talking about the role of hormones in migraines and actually understanding that the influence hormones can have and how you can perhaps manage your hormones by having a hormone assessment and working with a healthcare provider and team to help with your migraines. So I want to just start with migraines are more than just a severe headache. They're debilitating, and many of you have suffered for so long from this and it truly impacts your daily life. So I really want you to readdress your hormones if you haven't done so, or if you've done so, find a new provider, grow your team to readdress this and see if hormones are playing a role in this. Understanding how menstruation and pregnancy and menopause actually do affect migraines can really help you manage them and give you some tools to use during different parts of your cycle. So let's take a look at this connection. So hormones, as we know, are chemical messengers that actually regulate various functions in your body, including menstrual cycle, pregnancy, menopause, and more. And when these fluctuations happen, especially in estrogen, we can see an influence in migraine patterns. So one thing I want you to do right off the bat before we go any further is no matter what age you're at and no matter where you're at in your journey of have migraine management, download a free app that is specific for menstrual cycles and then start tracking your cycles. Just hit start. So even if you're not trying to conceive, I don't want this to feel heavy or burdensome, but just hit start. So period starts, menstrual cycle starts, hit start in your app, and then start documenting your migraines as well in that menstrual cycle app. And let's see if we can really work together to pinpoint when these are happening in your cycle. So many women actually will experience migraines around their menstrual cycle before, days or weeks before. And it due to hormones and estrogen levels having this drop, they drop really sharply. Again, progesterone needs to be taken seriously in this phase as well. But that drop can really trigger a cascade of events to happen, leading to these migraines happening. And these migraines are often more severe. They're harder to treat with your maybe typical migraine protocol because we're not addressing the hormones that are happening during this time. So it's essential to kind of know and anticipate when they're going to occur if we want to pin, is this due to hormones? And I just found that tracking your menstrual cycles and noting these patterns can also be super helpful. Some of you, of course, maybe have had a hysterectomy. You're not sure when you're regulating, but sometimes even when that's the case, ovulation, for example, you maybe get pelvic pain during that time, or you have some other symptoms happening that are triggering, hey, this is usually when I used to have a menstrual cycle due to based on these symptoms. And that can kind of help even you track these symptoms as well. You can also track your hormones at home and do some home hormone tracking with a lot of these kits that are out there and see what your hormones are doing. I have started implementing that so much in my menopause patients because we can watch with your morning urine what is going on with your estrogen, your progesterone, and things like that to really help track and see what we need to do with your hormones. Pregnancy can bring both relief or make migraines worse, especially during that first trimester. And so we need to see that they historically, if you're beyond that phase as well, did they get better during this time? And really helping us if hormones are to play based on that time of your life. Many women can also, they tend to find their migraines will disappear in the second or third trimester, become more stable. But that's because hormones are changing and becoming higher during that time as well. And so I think too, if you are one that gets migraines in pregnancy, we have to really have some good things in place for you. I love acupuncture, some biofeedback tools, some lifestyle changes, eating changes, getting you a full approach plan in place for you. Let's talk about menopause. So menopause can really be a double-edged sword for migraine sufferers. For some, you'll have a reduction in fluctuation, which brings relief. And for others, you're still having them. And the hot flashes and night sweats are actually making migraines more persistent or worsen perimenopause, menopause. This fluctuation again of estrogen and progesterone in this time is so vital to know and understand to help manage your migraines and looking at hormone replacement therapy to help with your migraines as well. Let's talk about managing your hormones. What can you do? Again, I talked about number one, track your cycles no matter where you're at. Let's see if we can pin it. Let's see if we can find a certain time in your cycle to understand this. Having some sort of routine. Again, let's look at your eating patterns. Let's look at your insulin levels. Let's look at your sleep and stress and cortisol levels as well. And see if working on insulin and cortisol can also help with that. Are we skipping meals? How much water are we taking in? It seems very basic, but again, guilty. One thing I'm trying to do is get better about my water intake. But what are your electrolytes doing? How are your blood sugars playing a role to this as well? Are you waking up a bunch of times at night due to cortisol? Really, we need to look at keeping those blood sugars and cortisol levels better maintained and stable. Magnesium. It's become super popular. Magnesium actually has been shown to reduce the frequency and severity of migraines, especially those related to menstruation. So how can we increase our food intake? The leafy greens, the nuts, things like that too. How can you do an easy, cheap magnesium supplement to help play a role in that as well? We know a magnesium deficiency is in fact linked to migraine occurrences. So working with someone who understands that role. Biofeedback and relaxation techniques. These are things such as meditation, yoga, deep breathing exercises, as well to help prevent migraines and prevent the triggers. These also have been shown to improve hormones by promoting relaxation and reducing cortisol levels. In our practice, we also use a lot of low-dose naltrexone to help with cortisol levels, and it has significantly helped with our patients' migraines and many as well. And just knowing that there's other things available for that. And of course, hormonal therapies. So for some, hormone replacements needed and really, really helps as well. And finding the right recipe, we like to call it here too. What is the recipe of progesterone, estrogen, or testosterone and DHEA that's needed to help with your migraines? Dietary changes and nutrition improvement, I always say, like, what does that look like? We know that there is certain foods that can actually trigger attacks, and there's others that can actually help prevent them. And so foods, like I said, that are high in magnesium, omega-3 fatty acids, so fish, salmon, flaxseed, chia seed, things that can help reduce inflammation and bringing those into your day as well. Riboflavin foods such as eggs, lean meats can really help with that as well. And hydration. I'll say it over and over again. Maybe you need some electrolytes in your water. Yes, water's great, but what electrolytes are you deficient in? And things like that. Triggers. What are triggers to the migraines? So again, these are things that many of us know, especially if we've been dealing with migraines for a while, but aged cheese, processed meats, nitrates, artificial sweeteners, caffeine, alcohol. We have to just be careful and know your triggers, know what is important to avoid. And maybe again, it's just doing a little bit of hydration and electrolyte and preparing if you're going to interact with those foods and being aware of what those triggers are for you. Acupuncture, huge fan personally and professionally of acupuncture. It's been researched to be effective in decreasing the frequency and severity of migraines. So have you tried that yet? Are you working with a acupuncturist who is specialized in this and helping to do some at home, working to do some acupuncture alternative therapy as well? Remedies. Again, grow your team to include someone who understands the important role that herbals can play in this too, as well. And making sure that they understand the importance of bringing in these things to try and help with that as well. Stress management, that is such a dumb statement, but I'm going to talk about it because when I say stress management, the first thing that should come to your mind is cortisol. And how high are your cortisol levels in the day? But I call it 2024 syndrome at this point in time of recording because it's just so inevitable that we all have wonky cortisol levels. So we have to start doing things to help mitigate those levels as well. So I just want to end this by saying hormonal changes are actually a significant factor in your migraines, especially in women. And by understanding this role and implementing strategies and a team approach to your migraines can really help alleviate and provide you some additional techniques and grow your team. Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode.